Most men think chasing shows interest. It doesn't. It shows anxiety disguised as effort. And the moment anxiety enters attraction, something quietly breaks. Not loudly, not dramatically, it just fades. This is why so many men feel confused when they do everything right, say all the right things, and still feel her pulling away. This matters because what you feel as care, she often feels as pressure, and pressure kills curiosity. When you chase, you collapse the emotional space where attraction breathes. You remove mystery. You remove tension. You remove the chance for her to lean in on her own. Watching this till the end won't give you tricks. It will give you clarity, and clarity changes how you move. If you're chasing women right now, pause. Not because you're weak, but because attraction doesn't grow that way. It grows through calm certainty. Stay with me till the end if you want to understand why. If you're new here, subscribe and comment below what dating feels like for you lately. Now, let's dive in. Female attraction isn't built on words or effort. It's built on how safe and challenged she feels at the same time. Safety without challenge becomes boredom. Challenge without safety becomes threat. The balance is emotional, not logical. When you chase, you overdeliver safety and erase challenge. She feels seen but not stirred, comfortable but not curious. Here's what quietly shifts when a woman starts feeling emotionally invested. She mirrors you without trying. Your pace becomes her pace. Your calm becomes her calm. She drops her guard in small ways, not big speeches. She protects how others see you even when you're not around. She values your presence more than your attention. Silence doesn't scare her anymore. It grounds her. Emotional alignment replaces uncertainty. Care shows up without being asked. These shifts don't happen because you chase them. They happen because you hold your center, because you don't rush to fix emotions that aren't yours, because you don't panic when things slow down. Stillness gives her room to feel. Chasing fills that room with noise. If you've overgiven before, this isn't a judgment. It means you cared. You just lost frame. You put her emotions ahead of your own stability. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But attraction doesn't respond to sacrifice, it responds to grounded presence. The quiet power shift begins when you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself. When you let silence exist without reaching for it, when you don't chase clarity, you become it. This isn't a tactic, it's self-respect returning to its place. This is where the idea of alpha gets misunderstood. It was never about dominance or force, it was always about emotional certainty. Knowing who you are even when attention wavers, trusting your value without demanding proof. When your life stays full, your tone steady, your direction intact, you stop leaking need. And need is what chasing really communicates. Certainty, on the other hand, invites curiosity without asking for it. Stay with this discomfort. It isn't loss, it's the space where your strength begins to speak for itself, without chasing anyone. Chasing usually begins the moment certainty breaks. Something changes in her tone. Replies slow down. Warmth feels inconsistent. And instead of staying grounded, most men move closer. They explain more. They give more. They try to secure what suddenly feels unstable. That reaction feels natural. But emotionally, it signals the opposite of what attraction needs. This is where curiosity turns into tension, not sexual tension, emotional tension, the kind that decides whether attraction deepens or collapses. When you chase, you answer questions she hasn't asked yet. You remove the unknown before it has time to work in your favor. Curiosity needs space. It can't survive constant reassurance. What's happening on her side is subtle. She's not testing you. She's feeling. Women process attraction internally first. They pull back to check their emotions, not to punish you. When you rush toward that pullback, you interrupt her process. She feels overwhelmed, not pursued. An overwhelmed emotion shuts down desire. Watch the hidden shifts more closely. When she's invested, she starts adjusting her behavior without being asked. She becomes aware of your standards. She respects your time. She notices when you go quiet and doesn't rush to fill the silence with drama. She begins nurturing, not chasing. She wants to add to your life, not consume it. These changes come from emotional safety mixed with respect. Men often misread silence as rejection. But silence, when held with calm, creates contrast. It tells her you're not ruled by emotional spikes, that you don't need constant validation to stay steady. This steadiness is rare, and rarity is what pulls attention back naturally. If you've been the one sending long messages, double texts, or emotional explanations, pause. Not to punish, to breathe. Overgiving doesn't build closeness. It builds imbalance, and imbalance always leads to attraction loss. Balance comes from emotional self-control, not withdrawal. Here's the hard truth many men avoid. You can't convince someone to feel safe and excited at the same time. That has to emerge. Your job isn't to manage her emotions, it's to manage yours. When you stop reacting to every shift, you give her room to move toward you freely. This is the quiet control most men never learn. Control over impulses, over fear of loss, over the need to fix uncertainty. When you don't chase clarity, clarity comes to you. Not always in words, often in behavior. Alpha mentality was never loud. It was never performative. It's internal order, emotional discipline, a man who can sit with discomfort without collapsing into action. A man whose sense of worth doesn't rise and fall based on response time. That internal structure is what creates attraction without effort. Right now, the question isn't what she's doing. It's how you respond when things feel unclear. Do you reach outward for certainty, or do you stay rooted and let time reveal what's real? This part isn't about getting her back. It's about not losing yourself when attention shifts. Because the moment you hold your ground calmly, something changes. Not forcefully, quietly. And that quiet is what she feels most. By now, the tension should feel different. Not sharp, not desperate, more like a pause that forces honesty. This is where most men break their own momentum. Not because they lack value, but because they rush to escape uncertainty. They mistake stillness for inaction. But stillness, when grounded, is active control. At this stage, clarity begins forming. Not through conversations, through observation. You start noticing patterns instead of clinging to moments. When a woman is emotionally aligned, she doesn't need constant access to you to feel secure. She trusts the connection even when it's quiet, and that trust only forms when you don't overreach. Here's another hidden shift. She starts responding to your emotional tone more than your words. If you're calm, she relaxes. If you're steady, she steadies. If you're anxious beneath polite messages, she feels it instantly. Attraction isn't logical, it's responsive, and emotional consistency is what anchors it. Men who chase often think they're being open, but openness without grounding feels like emotional leakage. It puts pressure on her to respond, reassure, or manage feelings she didn't ask for. When you hold your emotions without dumping them, you communicate strength without saying a word. This is also where respect quietly grows. Not because you demanded it, because you demonstrated boundaries through behavior. You didn't disappear, you didn't punish, you simply didn't abandon yourself. That restraint tells her you have a life, values, and direction that don't hinge on her reactions. If she reaches out more slowly now, that's not a loss. It's recalibration. She's adjusting to a man who doesn't chase emotional highs or fear emotional lows. That adjustment takes time. Rushing it ruins it. Let's address the pain honestly. Being still when you care is hard. It brings up fear of being forgotten, fear of being replaced, fear that you weren't enough. Those fears aren't weakness. They're signals. But reacting to them gives them power. Sitting with them dissolves them. This is where masculine self-respect becomes real, not as an idea, as behavior. You don't seek reassurance. You don't explain your worth. You let your consistency speak. And consistency isn't texting patterns. It's emotional posture. Notice how different this feels from chasing. There's no performance, no strategy, just alignment. When you're aligned internally, you stop trying to control outcomes. And that's when outcomes start responding to you. This isn't about dominance. It's about coherence. Your actions, tone, and self-image matching. Women feel that match. It feels safe, it feels solid, and it creates attraction without effort. If she moves closer now, it's because she chose to, not because you pulled her. That choice matters. It creates investment, An investment once earned changes everything. Sit with this version of yourself, the one who doesn't rush, who doesn't chase, who doesn't collapse when silence appears. This is where quiet power becomes visible, even in stillness. This is the final shift most men miss. Attraction doesn't deepen because you hold on tighter. It deepens because you loosen control without losing direction. Quiet power is not absence. It's presence without pressure. By now, you should see the difference between chasing and grounded certainty. Chasing is driven by fear of loss. Certainty is rooted in self-trust. One begs for reassurance. The other creates calm. Women respond to calm because calm signals safety. And when safety exists, curiosity can return. This is where identity reframes everything. You stop asking how to keep her interested, you start asking whether her behavior aligns with your standards. That question alone changes how you show up. You're no longer auditioning, you're observing, and observation restores balance. When a man chooses himself emotionally, he becomes selective. Not cold, not detached, selective. His attention carries weight because it isn't automatic. His presence feels earned because it isn't forced. This is why silence, when grounded, speaks louder than pursuit. It shows you trust yourself enough to wait. If she moves closer, you meet her calmly. If she stays distant, you don't chase meaning. You let behavior answer questions words never could. This isn't indifference, it's emotional honesty. You respond to what is, not what you hope. Many men confuse letting go with giving up. They are not the same. Letting go is releasing control over outcomes. Giving up is abandoning self-respect. Quiet power is staying whole, regardless of outcome. That wholeness is what attraction recognizes. At this point, it no longer matters whether she chooses you. What matters is that you didn't abandon yourself trying to be chosen. That alone restores confidence. Real confidence. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that stays steady in silence. Alpha mentality, stripped of noise, is simply this: emotional leadership of yourself. No chasing, no proving, no emotional bargaining, just clarity, restraint, and direction. That mindset doesn't manipulate attraction. It invites it naturally. If she feels drawn back, it's because your energy changed. Not because you played a role, you removed pressure. You stopped reacting. You stayed present without pursuit. That combination is rare, and rarity creates value. Now sit with this question honestly. When attention fades, do you reach outward for validation, or do you stay rooted and let truth reveal itself? Your answer determines everything. Not tomorrow, not when you feel stronger, right now. Because this moment is where habits change. You either react and repeat the pattern, or you pause and become someone new, someone calmer, someone harder to shake. This is how attraction shifts without force. You don't chase interest. You allow it to find you, and if it doesn't, you remain intact. That is the win most men never see. Not getting her, keeping yourself. That is quiet power. Sit with that truth tonight in silence and notice how differently you breathe, think, and carry yourself when you stop chasing what was never meant to be forced by fear again ever in your life. Now you understand how this mindset actually works. If something didn't fully click, don't rush it. Rewatch it. Let it settle. Clarity takes time, and it's what helps you choose the right match, even later in life. If this video made sense to you, hit like. If you want to understand women more clearly, subscribe. We upload daily conversations on dating, female psychology, red flags, and green flags. You can watch the next video on your screen now. And before you go, comment what you learned from this one. I'll see you in the next video.